So welcome to our KeyPay QuickBooks basic webinar this morning. In today's presentation, we're going to cover 5 different areas of KeyPay. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn on the integration between KeyPay and QuickBooks. We'll also add in some business details. We will add in an employee, then we'll process a pay run, and then we'll have a quick look at the employee self-service portal. So our first step to turning on the integration between QuickBooks and KeyPay. So you can see here up on your screen, I've got a QuickBooks account that I've already set up. Now my business name today is 28June2018. So basically we just name the business after the date that we actually do the webinar on. So once you've actually logged into your QuickBooks account, to turn on the integration between QuickBooks and KeyPay, you'll need to go to the Employees tab, which is down on the left-hand side here. And then you'll be presented with a screen here, which is giving you the option to sign up for KeyPay. So then all you need to do is click on that, and that will run through and turn on your integration. So while that's just processing, I'll just give you a quick overview of the pricing of KeyPay. So as part of your QuickBooks subscription, you'll get the first 10 active employees per month for free, and that's on the standard KeyPay plan. So once you go over those 10 active employees per month, you'll start to receive an invoice from KeyPay, so that's the $4 per employee per month. An active employee is an employee who is paid in that month. Then we've also got the advanced plan in KeyPay. Now the advanced plan in KeyPay is $6 per active employee per month, and that is on top of your QuickBooks subscription. So in your KeyPay advanced plan, you've got access to things like time and attendance, awards, rostering, rule sets, things like that. If you do want a bit of extra information on the differences between the advanced plan and the standard plan, you can go to our website. So our website is keypay, all one word, .com.au, and then just have a look at the pricing tab there, and that'll give you the differences between the two plans. Okay, so you should be able to see now that that integration's been turned on. And now we're up to the step where we're going to add in our business details. So in here, basically all you're going to do is add in all the business details. So an ABN number in there, I'm just going to pop in 11 number ones for today's purposes. Then you've got the option to add in how many employees you've got. You can then also see that the business name and the business legal name have been automatically transposed over from the QuickBooks account setup. And then you just need to pop in your address. So we're going to be 25th Street today, and the suburb can be Woonona, and then next. And then this here is the contact details of the person setting up the account. So that's me, Tanya, and then my email address there, and then a phone number as well. And then just click on the next button. Now in here, this is the payroll details. So these payroll details, you can configure these to meet the actual requirements to your particular business. So these can be changed if you like, but we do have some default settings already in here. So the standard work hours per day, we've got that default set to 7.6 hours per day. You can change that if you like. Then the standard work week, so we've got that default set to Monday to Sunday. Again, you can change that if you do have a different start and end date to your work week. Then we've got how often do you process pay runs, so this is your pay schedule. So we've got that default set to weekly. Now we've only got one pay schedule set up as a default in the system when you first sign up, but you can actually go in and add other ones if you like. So we've got the pay schedules we do have available are weekly, fortnightly and monthly. So these are based on the ATO's tax tables that are available. So we don't have the ability to set up like bi-monthly pay runs and things like that because there just simply aren't any tax tables available for those from the ATO. Then you've got what industry does your business belong to, so I'll just select financial and insurance services for today. The user's also then got the option there to register for one of the webinars like today's one if they want to, straight from the setup. And then if you've been given a promo code, you can enter that in there. Now, all these details here can be changed after the setup as well. So later on when we get through to the payroll dashboard, I'll show you the area where you can actually change any of these details later on if you need to. So then all we need to do is click on sign up, and you can see there that this is enabling the payroll. And so this is turning on the integration between QuickBooks and KeyPay, and this will take us through to the actual payroll dashboard, which is powered by KeyPay. Okay, so you can see there it says that we're all set up, and we just go to the dashboard. So that is our first two steps of the webinar done. So we've turned on our integration between the QuickBooks and the KeyPay accounts, and then we have added in the business details, and this has now taken us through to the payroll dashboard. So you can see up here it says powered by KeyPay. So in order to do anything in your payroll through QuickBooks, that's what you'd need to do. Log into your QuickBooks account, click on the Employees tab on the left-hand side, and then you get through to your payroll dashboard here. Okay, so I'll just go through a few things on the payroll dashboard here before we go to our next step. So you'll notice here are all these messages. So these are all messages and notifications that we put up on your payroll dashboard just to notify you of any important events that are coming up or any deadlines that need to be met. So things like superannuation deadlines, we'll put those up there. If you've had any superannuation batches fail, we'll put those messages up there. We've got messages up there at the moment regarding end of financial year resources that you can access. If you've got awards in your payroll accounts that need updating, we'll put those messages up there as well. So any warnings and messages will appear up here on your payroll dashboard. So it's a very good habit to get into to make sure you actually go through and check your messages and notifications every time you log into your payroll account. And just have a look and see if any of those warnings or messages do need your action. If they don't, you can click on the X there and the actual message or notification will go away. Okay, so further down underneath all your messages and notifications, we've got these 5 tabs across here. So you've got your Employees tab. Now, there's nothing there at the moment, but once we start adding in our employees, they'll form a list underneath that tab there. Same as with the Pay Runs tab. So you can see there's no pay runs there at the moment, but once you start processing your pay runs, that's where they'll all be listed under there. Then you've got the Approved Leave tab. Now, this is a monthly view of any of the approved leave that any of the employees have got in the system. Then you've got your Reports tab. So your Reports tab here has got a full suite of all the reports that are available in KeyPay. So you've got your payroll, employee, time and attendance, ATO reporting and report packs. So in here you've got things like your super payments report. Now if you're going to elect to make super payments via the clearinghouse ClickSuper, which is the clearinghouse that KeyPay is integrated with, that's where you would go to do that. You've got employee reports up here, your employee details audit report where you can view any changes that have been made to employees. You've got all your time and attendance reports up here as well. Now also, this is an important one that will be coming up very soon for you, is the payment summaries. So under your ATO reporting heading, the payment summaries report there, that is where you will go to generate, publish and lodge your payment summaries for the end of financial year. So all of those reports under there are based on all the information that is input into your system. Okay, now the next tab along here is your Payroll Settings tab. Now your Payroll Settings tab is a very important one. This is where you can go to configure all the information in your payroll account. You can configure it all to suit your particular business needs, your particular business requirements. So earlier I mentioned that we had the standard work week and standard work hours per day, but you can actually change them later on. So this is where you would go to do that. So in your details page here, from the payroll settings, this is where you can go. So see that's where we've entered all the information, the ABN and the address and everything. And then down the bottom here, you've got your standard hours per day and your work week. So that's where you could go to actually change those details. And then we go back to our payroll settings tab. And then another one I mentioned was also the pay schedule. So like I said, we've only got the one pay schedule default set already in your payroll account, which is the weekly one. But if you wanted to add more, if you needed to add a fortnightly or a monthly, you can go in there and do that via the pay schedules. You've also got your pay categories and leave categories that you can configure in there as well. Your chart of accounts, that's where you can set up your any GL accounts that you'd like your journals to map to. You've got managed users, so you can actually add users to your payroll account so that other people can access the payroll account. You can also set that up for them to have different levels of access as well. You can have restricted users that can only see certain amounts of your payroll account. Then you've got your awards and work types and rule sets and all those sort of things in here that you can set up, and then you've got a few advanced settings on the end there as well. So your payroll settings tab is quite an important one to know about, because this is where you can come to, like I said, configure everything that's going on in your payroll account. One other one I'll just quickly mention also was the employee portal settings. So at the end of the webinar, I'll go in and I'll show you the employee portal, and I'll mention that you can actually change the configuration for what you'd like your employees to see and not see, and that's where you would go to do that. Okay, so that's your payroll settings tab. So what we'll do now is we'll go on to the next section of the webinar, which is adding in an employee. So if we go back over to the employees tab from your payroll dashboard, you'll see over here the option to add an employee. Now you do also have the options to start the employee self-setup. You can import employees as well in bulk if you've been able to export them from a previous system. But what we will do today is we'll just add in one employee manually, and I'll show you how to do that. So once you click on that Add Employee, this will open up the employee wizard. So you'll see you've got 4 sections to the employee wizard. So you've got the personal details, the banking and super, the employment details, and the tax file declaration. So then basically all you need to do here is go through and add in all the details for your employee. So my employee today, her name is Sally Watson, and then we're just going to give Sally a birth date there, and just enter in Sally's address. So Sally is going to live at 12 Smith Street in Woonona, just down the road from where she works. You've also got the option here to put in a different postal address if the employee has given you a different postal address to their residential address. Then the next option here is to add in an email address. Now I've already got an email address set up for Sally, which I'm just going to copy and paste here for you. So I've set up this email address already for Sally so that I can log into the employee portal at the end of the webinar and give you a look at the employee portal. So I've popped in the email address there that I'd already made up for Sally. I've popped in a phone number there for Sally. Now the next part of this section is the employee notifications. So what this is how your employees are going to be notified that their pay slips are available for them. So once you publish your pay runs, this makes the pay slips available for the employees to view or download. Then you can also send them a notification. So you've got a few options here. So the options are, these 2 options, none and manual, they're basically the same. So this means that the employee will not get a notification. So this is for businesses that say print off their pay slips and hand them out, things like that. So if you don't want your employees to get a notification about their pay slips, you would click on either the none or manual in there. Now the other one you've got here is SMS. So once your pay slips are published and you send out your notifications, your employees will receive an SMS to say that their pay slips are available. Now with the SMS, you just need to make sure that you've got a valid mobile phone number in this field up here. And also I'll mention that if you do select SMS, there is a charge on that. So you'll be charged 15 cents per employee per SMS if you do elect to have SMS as your employee notification method. Now the one that I'll select today for Sally is email. So email is free, and as it suggests, basically once you publish your pay slips and send out your notifications, your employees will receive an email. So for email notifications to work, you need to make sure you've got a valid email address up there in that field as well. Then the last part of this section is the self-service. So this basically is turning on the employee self-service portal. So this is turning on the ability for those employees to actually access that employee self-service portal. So I'll select yes for that today so that later on in the webinar I can show you Sally's employee self-service portal. And once you've entered all that information, you can just click on next, and this should take us to the next part of the wizard, which is the banking and super. So with the bank details, this is how you're going to actually pay your employee. So again, you've got a few options up here. So you've got cash or cheque, which is pretty self-explanatory. We've also got the option, which is relatively new, BPay. So if your employees have got BPay details of accounts that they'd like part or all of their wages to be transferred into, you can set that up through there. And we've also got manual deposit. Now, manual deposit is for employees where you would like to manually transfer the money from your business banking into their personal banking account. So if you select manual deposit, you will need to do that manually yourself and do that one by one. So each employee manually transferring their funds from business banking into their personal banking. Then we've got the electronic option here. So electronic is allowing the ability for the employee to be included in an ABA file. So basically, you can download an ABA file from directly from the pay run, and all the employees will be included in that ABA file. And once you upload that to your business banking, all of those employees will be paid all in one go. So there's no need to be transferring each one individually, one at a time. You can do them all at one go. Now, I've just got a question up here, which says, can you only have one bank account per employee? No, you can have as many as you like. So once I've finished this, I'll go back to an employee's actual banking page and I'll show you where you can set up several. So we'll have examples where employees will have, say, a child support deduction. So they'll have one bank account where the majority of their wages going to their personal bank account, and then they'll have another percentage of that wage going to, say, a child support. Then maybe they'll have a BPay account set up as well. So yeah, you can have several set up at one time if you like. So once you've selected the actual method that you're going to use to pay the wages, then all you need to do is pop in the account name and then the BSB and the account number. So that's it for the banking details, and then you've got your super fund details. So the onus is on the employee to make sure that they give you the correct information on their super fund details. Now, if they haven't given you any details of the super fund that they'd like to contribute to, you can actually skip this step and you can come back and add it in later. So we will enter this in now though. So what you need to do is click on Choose Super Fund. Now, once you've clicked on Choose Super Fund, you'll see here you've got two options. You've got a regulated and a self-managed super fund. So the majority of employees will probably be regulated, but you will get some employees who contribute to a self-managed super fund. Now, if this is the case, you would come over here to the Self-Managed Super Fund tab, and this is where you would enter in all the information that the employee has given you. So again, the onus is on the employee to make sure that they give you all the correct information that needs to go in here. So they'll give you the fund name, the ABN, the account name and number, fund email. Now, all of those fields are mandatory except for that last one, the external ID. That's not mandatory. Now, the ESA, which is the electronic service address, some self-managed super funds do have an ESA, but if your employee's self-managed super fund doesn't have an ESA, you can always use the QuickSuper default, which is QuickSuper, and that's already been default set in there for you. Okay, so I'll just go back to the regulated super fund. I can see I do have another question there, but I'll come back to that one in a second. So from the regulated super fund tab, all you would need to do is enter in the details of what you need to search for. So you can search for the fund's name, the ABN, or the USI, which is your unique superannuation identifier. So for now, I'm going to search by fund name. So I've popped in Hester, and then I just click on search. And then what this will do is this will give me a list of all the super funds that match the search criteria that I just entered. So you can see that Hester's only got the one product, which is this one here that I can select from. Now, if you're being given, say, an ADN to a super fund, like a quite large super fund, sometimes those large super funds have got more than one product attached to the same ADN. So if this is the case, you need to make sure that you select the correct USI that matches the fund that the employee would like to contribute to. So once you have found the actual fund that the employee has elected, you can just click on the fund name there. And then you can see here, that's actually now populated the fund's name and the product code, those two fields there. So you've got the fund name, which is Hester. Now the product code, which is the USI, the unique superannuation identifier, that's also been populated in there. And then again, you just need to pop in the member number that the employee has given you. Before I move to the next stage, I'll just check this question. So if you choose email notification, does it send the payslip to the employee, or do they have to log in to see it? So if you select email notification, what will happen there is the employee will receive their email. Now, from the email, they'll have the option to view the payslip and download it directly from the email. There'll also be an option in that email saying to them, you can also log into your employee portal and view and download from there. But yes, directly from the email, they'll be able to view or download their payslip straight from the email. Okay, so once you've finished the banking and super options, super details, you can click on next. And this will now take us through to the employment details for your employee. So enter in their start date. Now, my start date for Sally today is going to be the 18th of June. So this is just so that I can show you a full week's worth of wages when we actually do process a pay run for Sally. Now, the employment type, you'll see you've got a few to select from there, but I'm going to select full-time for Sally today. Now, the primary location. So I've only got the one location set up, which is 25 June 2018. That's the business name. So I'll select that. But with your locations, so basically in KeyPay, locations are like departments or costing centres. So if you've got different departments or even different physical locations like Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, things like that, and you want the costings of the wages to be associated to different accounts, you can set them up like this. So you can have locations like 25 June 2018 / Sydney, 25 June 2018 / Brisbane. Then you can go even further. You can have things like 25 June 2018 / Sydney / marketing, 25 June 2018 / Sydney / sales. And then any of the earnings under those particular locations will be attributed to those actual locations. So if you need to know all the earnings under Sydney / marketing, that's the location you would select for those particular earnings. Then the next part here is the pay schedule. So we've only got the one pay schedule set up, which is the weekly. Now, if you had gone and added in other pay schedules, they would also be part of that list there for you to be able to select from, but we'll just select the weekly there for Sally today. Now the pay rate, so I'm going to do $60,000 per year or per annum for Sally, and we're going to base that on a 38-hour week, which is a 7.6-hour day. Then you've got your primary pay category here. Now you've got a few that you can select from. I'm going to select permanent ordinary hours for Sally today. So a little bit about your primary pay categories. The actual pay category is where you can configure things like SGC, leave, PAYG. So if you want your pay category to accrue leave, you can do that in here. If you don't want it to accrue leave, you can set that not to accrue leave. You can set it whether it's PAYG exempt. Also, you can set the pay category whether you want to have superannuation calculated on it or not. Now, an example of something different in the pay categories is the casual ordinary hours. So in the casual ordinary hours pay category, because casuals generally don't accrue leave, they'll get a 25% rate loading added to their base pay rate. And that's where you would set this up. So our casual ordinary hours pay category is default set to add that 25% rate loading. So that's where you would see that in that casual ordinary hours pay category setup. So I'll just select permanent ordinary hours for Sally today. Now you'll see as I've moved to that next field, the system's done a calculation to work out what the actual hourly rate is. So using that $60,000 per annum based on the 38-hour week, the system's calculated that this is equivalent to $30.36 per hour. So the next one down here, the next section is the leave allowance template. So I'm not going to select a leave allowance template for Sally today. I'll just leave that blank. But with leave allowance templates, this gives you the opportunity to set up different leave accrual amounts for different sets of employees. So if you've got two groups of employees, one you need to be able to accrue 4 weeks of leave per year, and then a different set of employees to accrue, say, 6 weeks of leave per year. You can set up two different templates for those different accrual rates, and then what you would do is just assign the appropriate template to the appropriate employee. And the other benefit to this is that if you do have to update this in at any stage, all you need to do then is update the actual template, and then you can apply those changes to all the employees that are linked to the template. So it saves you going through each individual employee's leave allowances and changing them all individually. And the last option down here on the employee employment details is the timesheet. So I'm just going to leave Sally set to do not use timesheet, but KeyPay does have its own timesheets that you can use. Same as QuickBooks also has timesheets. Now just be aware that these are actually different. So the QuickBooks timesheets are the time activities, and KeyPay does have its own timesheets as well. Now you can use either of those, so you can actually use QuickBooks timesheets and have the time activities imported into the pay run in KeyPay, or you can just use the timesheets that are already set up in KeyPay. I'll just have a quick look at this question before we move to the next part. If you don't allocate a leave allowance template, does it default to 4 weeks or nothing? Okay, so if we don't actually allocate a leave allowance template to this employee, the employee will automatically default to accrue the amount of leave that is already default set in the leave categories that have already been set up in the system. So what I'll do is once I've gone through and finalised Sally's setup, I'll go through and show you exactly what I mean there. Okay, so we've finished the employment details for Sally, so we just need to click on next. And then the last section of the employee wizard is the tax file declaration. So we can just add in a tax file number for Sally. So I'm just going to put in 9 ones there. Now, if your employee hasn't given you a tax file number, you do have some other options here to tick as to why they didn't give you the tax file number. So simply they just didn't quote one, or they've applied for one and they're waiting for it. And you've got a few other options there as well. So if your employee hasn't given you their tax file number and one of these options here does apply, you can actually tick any of those. And you've got your option there to pop in a surname. And then you've got the tax calculation options. Now, in KeyPay, we've automatically default set the two most popular options for you, which is the Australian resident for tax purposes and claiming the tax-free threshold. It's a mouthful, that one. So if your employee is an Australian resident and they do want to claim the tax-free threshold, you can leave that as is. But if your employee has different tax calculation options that you do need to select, you can click on the pencil here, and this will open up all the other options that you have. So if you've got an employee who's a working holiday maker or an employee with a help debt, things like that, you can tick any of those options in there that apply to your particular employee. We've also got the option in here to add in your Medicare levy exemption. And then all you need to do is click on the date that the employee has signed the tax file declaration. And then right down the very end, you've got the option to lodge the tax file declaration electronically with the ATO. So if you have set up your ATO supplier settings page and you have enabled your business for electronic lodgement with the ATO, then you've got the option here to then lodge this tax file declaration directly with the ATO, and that's immediate. So I won't actually click on that today because I don't want to upset the ATO with a fake tax file declaration. So that is pretty much the employee setup complete. I'll just have another look at this, another question here before I continue on. How can you tell which timesheets are being used, QuickBooks or KeyPay? So that would basically be if you're in your payroll account. So if you've logged into your QuickBooks account and you've gone to the Employees tab and you are now actually in QuickBooks, you are now actually in KeyPay, that's where you would find the KeyPay timesheet, but you would find your QuickBooks timesheets back out in your actual QuickBooks account. So those timesheets are ones that you would enter before you have actually clicked on the Employees tab and entered into your payroll account. Okay, so we've finished adding in the employees, so I'll click on the Done section over here, and then you can see there that we're completing the employee setup. So we've gone back to the payroll dashboard now, and you can see here down on the Employees tab, you can now see that our first employee has been added to that list. So there's a bit of information down here as well for Sally. So you can see that you've got Sally's name. There would have been a job title in there if we had have given her one. Her employment type is full-time. She's on the weekly pay schedule. And then this last option here, this is going to show when she was last paid. So it says here at the moment that she has not been paid yet. But once Sally is included in a pay run, in a finalised pay run, this will show the date of the pay run that she was last paid in. So like I said, in a minute when we actually do process the pay run, you'll be able to see that date will populate down there. Now I've just got a few other questions here. Can you attach documents to the employee details, contracts? Yes, you can. So what I'll do is I'll go into, now that we've actually set Sally up as an employee, we'll go into her file and I'll answer a few other questions that have come up about the employee setup. So you can see here, these are the employee details for Sally Watson. So just her normal details that we had entered in there before with her birth date and her address, etc. Now on her pay run default, so the pay run default page, this is where you can now see her pay rate, the number of hours she's working, things like that. Now in here you can see that the no leave allowance template was selected, which is what we had done right at the start. So if you go down to Sally's, so underneath her pay run defaults, you see here she's got the leave allowances tab. So if you click on that, this will show you all the leave allowances that she is going to accrue now. So this is based on any of the default settings that are already in the payroll account. So you can see here the annual leave. These are all the default settings. So 0.07692 hours per hours worked. And she's also got long service leave set up in there and her personal carers leave. So they are the default settings for any employees that do not have a leave allowance template applied to their employee record. Now there was something else that we were going to have a look at as well. I can't remember which one it was. The bank account. So if you go to, so we're still in the employee record, and then you go down to the bank account section. So see here, I've already got this bank account added in for Sally. All right, now if I go to add, I can add another one in here. So what needs to happen though is the amount that you're paying into this account, that's what you will need to alter for each different account that you add. So if this one here was going to be a BPay account, and I was going to pop this in here, so in here I would need to select, say, a fixed amount. So I want $100 from that to go to that BPay account from each of my pays. And then what would happen then is $100 of this, my wage is going to go to this particular BPay account, and then the remaining balance will go to Sally's her own personal bank account for the rest of her wages. And then, yeah, you can add in as many bank accounts there as you like, just making sure that all of these amounts that are being paid into each of the different accounts all add up to the complete total of her wage. Now, the other thing that we were going to show you in the employee file are the attachments. Yes, thank you. I knew there was one more. So with your attachments, so you can go to documents. So again, from the employee file, just scroll down to the bottom here, and then you've got documents. Now, this is just a fairly new part of KeyPay. So in here, you can upload any documents that you'd like to. I don't know that I've got something that I can pop in here. But yeah, I won't actually do one at the moment because I don't think I've got anything I can pop in there. But once you do add in your document, so you can click on the add document and then you can select that from your any files in your computer and have that uploaded to, I'll just discard that, and yeah, have that uploaded to the employee's record. So you can also have the employee acknowledge that the document, that they've actually viewed the document and read it. You can send notifications to the employees to alert them. To alert them that that they've received a document. Now I'll just pause at this moment here. So you can probably all see there that we've got up in the chat bubble, we've got Jen has just joined the webinar. Now Jen is one of our other support staff. Jen is amazing. So she is going to hang around for a little bit and she's going to answer any of your questions up here in the chat bubble. So I will continue with the webinar. I think I've actually caught up with all the questions so far. But if you do have any further questions, just pop them up there in the chat bubble and Jen is going to help out and answer your questions up there so that I can continue with the webinar. Thank you, Jen. All right, so I'll just go out of Sally's employee record there. And what we'll do now is we'll go to the next part of the webinar, which is processing the pay run. So back on your payroll dashboard, up in the top right-hand corner there, you've got new pay run. So if you just click on that, then this is going to open up a little pop-up screen here where you can now configure the details of the pay run that you now actually want to process. Now the first option up here is the pay schedule. So you need to make sure you select the correct pay schedule for the pay run you're about to process. So again, if you've got a number of pay schedules in there, so if you went in and added your fortnightly or monthly pay schedule, you just need to make sure that you select the correct one from the list there. Now you've got the pay period ending date. So in KeyPay, you're only able to select a pay period ending date for a pay run. You can't actually select a start date. So what will happen is once you select this pay period ending date, the system will use that date along with the pay schedule that you've entered, and then that will automatically calculate the actual pay period, so the start and end date from there. So with my pay run that I'm going to do today, my pay period ending date will be Sunday the 24th of June. So remember we started Sally, her start date was Monday the 18th. And you'll also recall that my work week was Monday to Sunday. So having set up my work week from Monday to Sunday, that means that my pay runs need to always end on a Sunday. So if I select Sunday the 24th, this will give me a full week's worth of earnings to show you in the pay run where Sally started on Monday the 18th. Then you've got the date that the pay run will be paid. So you can select whatever date you want those pay runs to be paid. So I'm going to pay mine on the Tuesday, the 26th. Then you've got this option here, which is manually add employees to this pay run. Now this is quite a good option to know about for businesses that need to process ad hoc pay runs, out of cycle pay runs for things like bonuses, back payments, things like that. So what this option here will do is if you tick on this manually add employees to this pay run, that will create a pay run based on the pay schedule and the pay period dates that you've given the system, but the pay run will be empty. There'll be no employees included in the pay run. So what you can then do is add the employees that you specifically need to pay. So if you've got a large payroll and you only need to grab, say, 2 or 3 employees to pay a bonus to, you can use this ad hoc pay run option here. That'll give you the empty pay run, and then all you need to do is add the 3 employees that you want to pay. So that's quite a time saver when it comes to things like that. So once you've set up all the information in there, you can then click on Create, and this will create the pay run for you. So this is creating the pay run based on all the information that we'd earlier entered for Sally with her earnings, and based on that pay schedule and pay run date. So I'll just go through a few of the things now on this actual pay run. So you can see up the top here we've got weekly, so that's the pay schedule. Then you've got your pay period. So Remember, we entered in the 24th of June, so the system's now used that period ending date with the weekly pay schedule to work out that the pay period starting date was the 18th. Then you've got the paid date that we entered in there as well. Now under here you've got these three tabs. So you've got actions, filter and warnings. So I'll come back to the actions one in a second. I'll just show you the filter tab first. Now the filter tab is quite handy if you've got, again, a large payroll and you just want to bring up in your view particular employees. So what you can do is you can filter the pay run to show only those employees. So you can filter the pay run by all these different options here, or you can also filter the pay run by name. So once you've entered in your filter option or your name, you can just click on apply filter, and then that will show you in your view only those employees that meet that particular filter. Then you've got your warnings tab. Now, if you've got a warning up here under this warnings tab, it's a very good idea to make sure you have a look at the warning it is only a warning, so you may not need to do anything about it, but it's always a good idea to make sure you do check it and make sure that if you do need to action the warning that you do so. So in your warnings tab, you'll get things like birth dates and anniversary dates for employees. So sometimes employees need their pay rates altered if they've had an anniversary or a birth date. Now, this particular warning here is for, if I click on that, you'll see it says that my ABA details have not been provided for this business. So what this means here is, you remember when I set Sally's banking details up, I had set her up as an electronic payment, which means that she was able to be included in an ABA file. So basically what this warning is telling me is that I've got an ABA file, I've got an employee who is able to be included in that ABA file, but I don't actually have any ABA details in my business. So this is what that warning is telling me. Now, if I want to fix that, I can click over here and fix this, and that will take me back to my payroll settings page, back into the payment files, and I'll be able to set up my ABA file. But I don't want to actually do that because I'm not going to I'm not going to actually pay Sally today anyway. So I can just ignore that warning. Okay, so then back over to the Actions tab. So underneath your Actions tab here, you've got all these other options. So you've got your finalised pay run. So that is once you're at the end of, you've checked all your information and you would like to finalise your pay run and lock all the information in, you can click on that. At this point, you've also got the option to delete the pay run. So while you've still got the option to finalise it, you've also still got the option to delete the pay run. Now, if you delete a pay run, you just need to be aware that it cannot be restored. So once you delete a pay run, it's gone. So if you have got a large payroll where you've done quite a bit of work to it, you just need to make sure that you're 100% sure that you do actually want to delete the pay run, because like I said, once it's gone, it's gone. Now over here, you've got your pay run actions tab. So under your pay run actions, you can do a few other things once you've created the pay run. So you can add a message, add employees, adjust your pay period, import timesheets, and you've also got the option to export and import pay runs. You've got a couple of reports here that you've got available to you as well. And then you've got your draft pay slips. So at this point here, the pay run hasn't been finalised, so these are just draft pay slips. But if you would like to have a look at them and just make sure they all look fine and everything's okay, you can view your draft pay slips from there. Now down here, I'll show you, this is where all of Sally's earnings are. So I'll just go through some of these headings here and we'll have a look at what all these headings are. So you've got your total hours here, which is 38. You've got your gross and your taxable earnings for Sally. Then you've got any deductions that have been made in the pay run. So you've got your pre-tax and your post-tax deductions here. Then you've got all your withheld amounts. So you've got your PAYG, your SFSS and your help amounts all in there as well. Then you've got your super contributions. So you've got your SGC, which is the 9.5% super guarantee, and then you've got EC, which is the employer contributions. You've got any expenses that the employee has been reimbursed for in the pay run in this field here. Now I'll come back to expenses in a minute and explain a little bit more about that. Then you've got your employer liabilities. So this is for things like portable long service leave. And then you've also got the field at the end, which is the net earnings. Now, with your expenses, so expenses in KeyPay are basically a reimbursement for any out-of-pocket expenses that the employee has incurred. Now, because expenses are not actually earnings, they're not classed as earnings, these expenses here will not be included as part of those net earnings. So if you're paying your employee manually, you need to make sure that you add your expenses column and your net earnings column together to come up with the amount that you need to pay your employee. If you're using an ABA file, the expenses and the net earnings will be included in the ABA file, so you'll have a line for the net earnings for the employee and you'll also have a line for the expenses. But that's only if you're using an ABA file. So for any other payment options, you need to make sure you include the expenses and the net earnings together. Okay, so if we come back over here to Sally's name, and if we click on Sally's name over here, this is actually going to expand all the earnings. So now you can actually see all the finer details of Sally's earnings. So if we go across here, we've got permanent ordinary hours. That's the pay category that we had selected for Sally. Then you've got her location that we had selected. You've got the option here to add any notes in for this particular earnings line. You've got the number of hours, so she had 38 hours in there, and then you've got that pay rate per hour as well, and then you've got her gross. And you've got any leave accrued for Sally, so you'll remember I showed her leave allowances page to you, and so this is what the leave, now this is the leave that she has accrued in this particular pay run. So these are the leave categories that she's accruing for, and then these are the actual amounts of leave that she has accrued. You've got also the option down here to add any notes for this particular pay run as well, just for Sally. Now this tab here is the leave balances tab. So if you click on that, this will give you a quick view of all the leave balances that the employee has. And these leave balances are an updated balance, so they actually include any of the leave that she is accruing in this particular pay run. And now beside that is the Actions button. Now the Actions button is another one that is very handy to know about. So you can do lots of things once you've actually created your pay run and your employees in there. You can still do lots of things in this pay run at this point. So if you click on that Actions button, you've still got all these options. So you can add in any earnings, you can add in a lump sum payment, you can calculate gross payment from a net, you can add an expense, make a deduction, accrue and take leave. You can adjust any leave, PAYG or super. You can recalculate the earnings for the employee. You can import timesheets as well from this point. This is where you would terminate the employee. And you can also exclude the employee from the pay run at this point as well. So that's quite a good option to know about, that Actions button. Okay, so if we just click on Sally's name, that closes up all those details. And then the last two things that I'll mention here are these two little options here. So if you hover over this tick that says Mark as Complete. Now, if you've got a large payroll where you need to go through and just double check all your employees and have a look and make sure everything looks fine, if you click on the employee's name, make sure that the payroll looks fine, and then you can click on that tick, which will then mark that employee as complete. So then at a quick view, you can see all the employees that have got a tick next to them. They're the ones that you've been through and checked, and they're all fine. Now this other option here is the little pencil. If you hover over the little pencil, what that will do is that will take you directly back to the employee's record. So if you need to go back and have a look at any of the information on the employee's record, instead of going out of the pay run, you can just click on that, and that will take you directly back to the employee's record. Okay, so that is pretty much all the pay run that we've looked at now. So all that's left to do now is actually finalise the pay run. So at this point, once we finalise the pay run, you can actually come back and unlock your pay run. The only time you can't unlock a pay run is if you've made automated super payments via QuickSuper, which is the clearinghouse that KeyPay is integrated with. So if you have actually made super payments from this pay run using QuickSuper, then you can't unlock the pay run. But at any other point, you can. And I'll come back in a minute and show you how you would actually do that. So once we click on the finalised pay run, sorry, just needed a drink. you'll see this pop-up screen here. Now from here, this is where we're going to configure what is going to happen with our payslips and whether we notify our employees that their payslips are available. So you'll also note up the top here that this little warning says that by finalising your pay run, this is not actually paying your employees. You still need to go in and either manually pay your employees or download your payment file, which is your ABA file or your BPay file. So by finalising the pay run, this is not actually transferring those funds into your employees' bank accounts. So the date paid of the pay run, which was the 26th of June, that was the date that we had selected earlier. That's already default set in there. Now this option here, publish the payslip. So you've got three options here that you can select from. So the first one is do not make the payslips available until the publish payslips button is clicked. So by publishing your payslips, this is making them available for the employees to view or download if they have access to the employee portal or the WorkZone app. So if you don't publish your payslips, they won't be able to see them or view them from the employee portal or the WorkZone app. The next option here is make the payslips available to the employees now. So this will publish your payslips straight away, and your employees can then log into the employee portal or their WorkZone app, and they can see or they can view and download their payslips straight away. If you have published the payslips straight away, you still then also have the option as to whether you send a notification or not. So by publishing the payslips, the employees can view them from the portal or the app. You can then also send them a notification, or you can not send them a notification. If you select to do not send the notifications, they won't receive an email to say that their payslips have been published, but they still will be able to log in and view the payslips anyway. Then you've got the option here to publish the payslips at, and you can set a point in the future. So this is handy for if you have created and finalised your pay run, say, on the Friday, but you don't want your employees to be able to have access to their payslips until the Monday, you can set that up in here. So you can have, say, 9 a.m. on and then set the following Monday's date, something like that. Also, again, from this point here, you do have the option as to whether you send the notification or not to the employee. So again, if you don't send the notification, your employee will still be able to access the portal or the app on that Monday morning, or whatever date you've set in here, and view their payslip, or you can send them a notification. So I'm going to select today to make the payslips available now. So my payslips are going to be published straight away, and I'm going to send the notifications to the employees. So once you've set up that to your requirements, you can just click on Finalise, and then you'll see here this is finalising the pay run, exporting to QuickBooks, and it was publishing the payslips. So that was making the payslips available to the employees, and it was also exporting any of the journals from the pay run to the accounts that you've got set up, any of the GL accounts you've got set up on your chart of accounts page. So this is now what a finalised pay run looks like. So with all your tabs here, some of them have changed. So the Pay Run Actions tab now has got the unlock option. So remember before I said once you've finalised the pay run, you can't unlock it if you've made automated super payments from that pay run using Click Super. But if you haven't, you still do have the option to go back and unlock that pay run. You've still got your reports there that you can have a look at. Now you've got the actual pay slips. So these are the published pay slips, not the draft pay slips. And then you've got the option here to resend the pay slips as well. So if for some reason that they haven't gone through, you've got the option there to go in and resend the pay slips directly from the pay run. Okay, so that is the pay run finalised. So if we just click on the X at the top right-hand corner here, or the close in the bottom left-hand corner, that'll take us back through to the payroll dashboard. I'll just have a quick look at these questions up here. Yep, so Jen looks like she's under control with all those questions. Now, from the payroll dashboard here, I'll just show you a few things that have now changed down here. So we had our employees tab. You could see Sally was the first in our list. If you go to the end here where Sally was last paid, remember it said that she hadn't been paid yet. Well, now you can see that there's a date there, and that's the actual date of that pay run that we just processed. So that will change each time you have paid Sally in a pay run, and that will update each time to give you the time that she was last paid. Then if we go to the pay runs tab here as well, you'll see now that this has also started a list of the available pay runs. So this is the pay run that we just processed then. So you've got the pay period date, you've got the date it was paid. It was a weekly pay schedule. There was only one employee in that pay run, and there was a total of 38 hours in the pay run. And then you've got the net and the gross wages there. So also I'll just quickly mention this little icon here. So if you hover over that icon, it says that the journals have been exported to QuickBooks. So if you need a quick view to see whether your journals have been exported or not, if you go to your pay runs tab and any of the pay runs with that little icon next to them, that means that the journals have actually been exported to QuickBooks. Okay, so that brings us to the end of all the information in the actual payroll account. So the only thing left to do in the webinar now is the last part, which is show you the employee self-service portal. So I'll just have a quick look at the questions up here. So if you're using timesheets, so timesheets can be accessed from your employees tab over here, and on your manage employees tab, you can create and import or approve your timesheets from over there. And yeah, Jen's just explaining to you now about the work types. So you can set up work types under your payroll settings tab and under work types. And then you select your work types in your timesheet, and those work types will point to a particular pay category to pay a certain rate for that time worked. So what I'll do while Jen is still explaining that, I will log into the employee portal. Now, when your employees log into the employee portal, this is a different URL to what you would log into in the business portal. So I'm just going to pop up so I've just put in the chat bubble there the actual employee portal login. And I will share this window so that you can all see. So hopefully now you can see up on your screen the actual employee portal. So I'm going to use the email address that I'd already set up for Sally earlier to log into the portal so we can show you what that looks like. All right, so I've put in the email address that we had set up for Sally, and then just popping in the password and then logging in. So remembering that you've got quickbooks.yourpayroll.com.au/employee/login. So that is the URL that your employees need to use, which is different to the URL that you use to log into the actual business portal. Okay, so hopefully up on your screen now you can see the employee portal. So there's just a bit of an issue there with the configuration that's behind there. It says employee dashboard for Sally Watson. That's not what your employees will see. They will see that correctly. And then you can see we've got all different things like the pay slips, the leave balances. You've got a little survey down here that the employees can do, and then you've got the leave calendar. Now, the leave calendar will give you a monthly view of all the approved leave of all the employees in the business. The leave balances here, this is the employee's leave balances. You can also configure this so that the employee can apply for leave through the employee portal. You can configure this so that the employee can apply for expenses through the portal. They can also submit their timesheets through the portal, things like that. Once your employee has actually got access to the employee portal, they've also got access to the WorkZone app. So the WorkZone app is a free app that you can that the employees can download to their smartphone, and they can access all this sort of information from there as well. So earlier I mentioned from your payroll settings tab that you can configure the employee portal settings. So that is where you can configure anything that you do or don't want your employees to see in here. So you can turn off this leave calendar, you can turn off the survey, you can have that your employees don't see their leave balances and they can't apply for leave through the portal. all those things like that you can configure back on your in your business portal from the employee portal settings page. Okay, so that pretty much brings us to the end of the presentation today. So we've gone through all the steps, we've turned on the integration, added in the business details, then we added that employee and processed them in that pay run. And then this is a look at the employee self-service portal. So if you do have any other questions on anything from today's webinar, you can also send through an email to our support team. So Jen and I are both from the support team, so you can send an email through to us. The email there is support@yourpayroll.com.au. So we've also got videos and articles that we can send you through from the email as well. We can also log into your actual business accounts and have a look at the individual setup for employees and your payroll details if you do have specific issues. Also remember that we've also got our YouTube channel. So if you go to YouTube and search KeyPay, all one word, there are lots of videos and articles there you can also have a look at. Remembering also that I said we'd uploaded a few end of financial year videos that you can have a look at as well, because end of financial year is creeping up. Also from your payroll dashboard back in your business portal, you should still have that message up there as well for the end of financial resource guide that you can have a look at and go through as well. Now I'll just make sure that we have caught up on all the questions that Jen has been helping with. So that is, I don't see a way to record the chat for you, Tanya. Oh, the chat in this chat bubble. No, unfortunately the chat in the chat bubble is not recorded. Only the answers that I would give out loud are recorded, so you can't actually see the answers either from the chat. But if there is this referring to something that we've just talked about now? So there's one from Jeanette which says, where can the employees learn about entering their timesheet? So we can actually give you an article, Jeanette, on that. So we can send you through, I think it's actually a video about the employees. So Jeanette, if you'd like to send through an email to support with those few requests, we can actually send you through some videos that you can send to your employees on how to upload their, on how to use their timesheet. And then we've got another one, the opening balances page from the employee record. So what I might do is I might just go back into our back into our business portal. And I'll just go through a few of those questions in here. So from your payroll dashboard, if you go into your employee, Sally Watson. So from Sally's employee record, that's not working because I'm still logged into the employee portal. So let me just get back into that, sorry. Sorry, just bear with me for a moment while I get back into the actual business portal, and I'll be able to show you some of the things that are coming up in the questions. All right, so you should be able to see on your window now the actual payroll dashboard. So if we go back to Sally Watson's record, and down here you've got the opening balances feature here, and that's where you can put in any earnings there as well. You've also got the option to import opening balances. If you've got quite a number of employees in your payroll that you need to import opening balances for, you can go to your payroll settings tab and then opening balances down there. This is also where you'd make sure you've got the correct financial year configured, and then you can import opening balances from there. Then you've got, that's just trying to allow the person to copy the chat. So what was the actual question so viewer 25, I'm just trying to see if I can see what your question was about so I can try and run through it in the actual recording for you. Sorry, I can't find it. Oh, okay, so the opening leave balances. So yeah, you can import them from there, or if you go to the actual employee's record, so if you go into Sally's record there, and you go to the opening balances feature there, and you've got the tabs up here. So you've got your leave balances there, so you can add any of those leave balances in there, and then you've got your earnings and all those other tabs. But yeah, that's where you would do your leave balances from there. And so then any of those leave balances that you add in there, so if I add in there that Sally's got another 40 hours of annual leave in there, so she's only had that one pay run, but if I now go to her employee record and go to her leave balances, you'll see here now that she's got an accrued balance of 42.92. If you click on that annual leave option there, you can see then that the 2.92 accrued leave was from this particular pay run that I had just run, and then you can also see the opening balance there. So that was the 40 hours of the annual leave that I just popped in there. So you're having opening balances were added subsequent to pay runs. Will they be updated on previous pay slips? So not on the previous pay slips, no. So once your pay slips are published and the pay runs have been finalised, in order to update all of those pay slips, you would have to go through and unlock all of those pay runs and add in the actual leave accrued per pay run. But if you add in these opening balances here after all those pay runs have been finalised, this opening balance will only be part of the year-to-date total for the opening balances. It won't actually update on any of the previous pay slips. So hopefully that answers all your questions. So I'm having data migration done by QuickBooks. Will this bring over my pay information and opening balances, or will I need to manually do these? So I'm not sure what you mean by data migration done by QuickBooks. If you've got two QuickBooks accounts and you're trying to get your payroll off from zero, all right, so what I'll get you to do there, viewer 25, is I'll get you to actually send through a support request. So if you can send through a support request to support@yourpayroll.com.au, and we can have a look at your actual payroll account, and we can give you some more detailed advice specific to your payroll account, and just have a look at what information is in there at the moment. And we could probably even send you through some articles on transferring information from zero. But I'm pretty sure I can tell you off the top of my head here that the zero leave balances do not come across. So, but yeah, just send through a support request, and we will have a look at that for you. Okay, so we might finish up there if there are no other questions. Thank you very much to Jen, who popped in there and answered all those questions for you and allowed us to get through that a lot quicker today. So I will update this. I will upload this recording to YouTube later on this afternoon when I get a chance, so you can have have another listen through that. But thank you all very much for attending today. Thank you all for using KeyPay, and thank you all. Yes, thank you very much to Jen. It was a lifesaver jumping in there and answering all those questions. Good luck with your end of financial year. So remember all those resources and videos that we've got for helping you with your end of financial year. So jump into YouTube and have a look at those. And good luck with everything. And thank you very much for using KeyPay. Bye.